Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. Let me start by offering my congratulations to IFPRI on your 40th anniversary. I think the Institute's influential policy research to sustainably reduce poverty and end hunger is already having a huge impact on so many people, but I'm convinced that as we look forward for the next 40 years, it's going to be that same research and that same leadership that is going to be so important to helping us all navigate to success. So thanks for your efforts and congratulations on the milestone. At DuPont, we're focused on three key areas: on trying to help the world reduce the challenge of food insecurity, second around energy security, and finally in the area of protecting people and the environment. And since I lead our agriculture and nutrition businesses, I'm immersed in the issues relating to food and nutrition security, in the product research and product innovation areas that underpin that, and of course in the related policy areas that shape the environment that we operate within. And everyone here, I think, knows well that policies that are inefficient or burdensome impact whether or not the food gets to the people and the places that need it most. I'd briefly like to discuss three critical policy-related areas that I think we must address if we're going to achieve food security for the citizens of the world that are here today and the over 2 billion that we expect to join us in the future. First, border and trade-restricted food systems hinder the health of people and hurt businesses that are critical to the food and agriculture value chain. It's estimated today that roughly 85% of food never crosses an international border. Food today is largely local, and maybe it should be. Food would be good if it were able to be grown where it's needed the most. But as the world's incomes rise and we become more urbanized, as Mark just described, greater amounts of food are going to need to be able to affordably move from areas of high productivity into large population centers. And if we keep in mind the fact that we're not living in a perfectly ordered world, there are places on the planet like Iowa, where I grew up, that are agriculturally very productive with low populations. And there are other areas of the world that have less productive soils and much larger populations. It's going to become increasingly imperative that we remove barriers to global trade as agricultural productivity continues to improve in surplus regions, and while we need to be able to satisfy the demand that's going to be growing and evolving in productivity deficit regions that were just described again by Mark. The second area I'd like to focus on is the need to remove policy barriers to breakthrough research and innovation. The dated regulatory policies that don't recognize the speed at which technology is evolving can be detrimental to the efforts to advance global food and nutrition security. We need policies that encourage innovation, not hinder it. And governments in particular can incite innovation, and they can encourage growth by ensuring not only the necessary local infrastructure, but pragmatic regulatory oversight and predictable market access. I've been encouraged by the progression of conversations around GMO safety, for one, due to the decades of rigorous testing and broad-scale use, safe use. But we need to reduce the regulatory redundancies and implementation of approaches that were developed for innovations that came 10 or 20 years ago. Let's consider investment in research and innovation in the ag sector. Typically, those innovations have produced significant returns, but over the long term. On average, it often takes 2 or 3 decades from the start of basic research for a major technology for it to become adopted and to come to the market and ultimately widely adopted to really unleash its full benefits. And that means that the research that's going on today, the investment decisions today and maybe over the next decade, are going to be the ones that shape and ultimately largely determine our success at meeting the mid-century demands that we have for food. And who knows what kind of scientific innovations that are on the horizon that are going to change the way we produce food or breed plants in the next 10 or 20 years. Our researchers are already applying advanced technology to help plants grow, even in drought conditions, to protect plants from insects, weeds, and diseases in even more sustainable ways, and to make products with improved nutritional quality. In the future, our strategic application of tools like biotechnology or genome editing can help us produce staple crops that weather increasingly challenging growing environments globally and help to enable value chain systems that can make the most of every crop that's raised. The third area I would focus on is addressing food security challenges is going to require policies that are informed by accurate data that provide tangible insights and encourage collaboration. IFPRI's report of food security in a world of resource scarcity and the associated agri-tech toolbox come to my mind as I think about data that inspires insights and collaborative action. These resources provide analytics that demonstrate and then model the impacts of introducing different agricultural technologies in different parts of the world. Another powerful tool is the Global Food Security Index, which annually measures a complex set of issues and vulnerabilities that together define food security in 109 countries around the world. In 2012, DuPont partnered up with the Economist Intelligence Unit to develop a comprehensive data tool that could help us all determine how we can best collaborate, how we can focus our energies and pool our resources. And from a policy perspective, governments around the world are using the index to better understand food security issues that they face and then to prioritize their efforts. NGOs like the Aspen Institute are using the index to determine countries where they're going to focus their efforts to advocate for food security policy changes. So in conclusion, we should all leverage the best available resources to help address the critical challenges facing our global community. It'll take each of us in our own way, pooling our skills, our resources, our energy to ensure that people everywhere have enough nutritious food to eat. And I believe that we can. In fact, I believe that we will provide new hope and possibility to millions of people around the globe, from the farm gate to the dinner plate. It's been a pleasure to speak to you today, and again, I want to congratulate IFPRI. I want to thank you for 40 years of important research. I want to thank you for your undying willingness to collaborate, to reduce hunger and poverty, and to promote international development. Thank you.